and it's called Nani. It speaks for itself. Yeah. So if you're something like me, you are curious if certain things are even worth paying for. For example, saturation plugins. If you pay $100 for a saturation plugin, is that worth it versus the ones that are baked into your DAW? We're gonna see if we can figure out what saturation plugins are worth using. I've got the stock plugins for FL Studio, and I've got some free plugins, and I've got 2 paid plugins. They're not $100, but you get the point. If you pay money, something like what you're gonna get. We're gonna test these on an 808 and vocals. So probably the most common things you'd use it on. I made a quick beat, and I have a quick vocal sample as well. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to this, what the beat sounds like. Very simple beat. That is a brand new 808. It's just literally as basic as an 808 can get. It sounds like this. If you're not wearing headphones right now, you probably can't even hear this. It's very low. But I'm gonna make it audible with some distortion. And this is what the vocal sample sounds like.
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain. Hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change.
To mention, there is processing on the vocal. So I have arranged some plugins. We've got the tried and true fruity fast distortion. Everybody knows this thing. If you've used FL Studio, you've used fast distortion at one point or another. Then we have a newcomer that kind of about 2 years ago came to FL Studio. That's Destructor. And you get this list of preset from all the different distortions in FL Studio. They compiled them into a list and gave you the controls right here, and you can put them in a chain like this. So I chose 2 presets from this that I think work well on both of the sounds, both the 808 and the vocal. So we're going to test both of those today. And then we have Fruity Blood Overdrive, which is basically it's more meant for like guitar and bass and stuff. So we're gonna see how this performs against the other ones. It does sound quite good. And then you could consider this a saturator because in Maximus, it has a clipper because it is a maximizer. So you could actually drop the ceiling on the clipper and then dial like a soft saturation or a hard saturation, depending on your taste. And you can get a nice saturation with it. So very quick, very little control over this, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. Now that is the FL Studio plugins I'm showing, but we're gonna get on to the free plugins, which everyone knows this one. Have you seen a free plugin video on YouTube? You've seen Softtube Saturator. Shit is kinda ass. You have so little control in this. You can get low, neutral, and high. And you have one knob. So you have no pre-post gain. You don't have any mix knob. You don't have anything like that. It gives you so little control, and I don't like it. And on top of that, it doesn't really sound that good. But we'll be the test of that when we do a blind test in this video. The next one that some of you guys might know is BPB Saturator. Now this is a saturation plugin by Bedroom Producer's Blog. It's also free. It gives you a tube and a tape saturator with an in and out gain and a high pass and a low pass filter. It is actually post, so a high pass filter and a low pass filter post saturation, which is pretty powerful. You can get really fat sounds with this thing because it has 2 saturation types. They just stack on top of each other and make a really rich sound. I really like this one. This one's good. Though it does behave a lot like an analog plugin. You really do want to gain stage before you get into this plugin. This one, this is called Pre-FET. Not everyone's going to know about this, but it is mimicking a FET compressor, which I don't know that much about. Like all those AIs that are like drawing shit and everything, you know what I mean? they use something like that deep learning thing to make this. And it does sound pretty good. This one tends to, like, you don't really get any distortion, and then right at the peak of the drive, you get a ton of distortion, and it's like crazy, completely crushes it. So it's kind of like a hard limiter, but I really like the sound of this one. It sounds really good. Next, we have a plugin called More. Good saturator. You have a pre and a post filter on it. You have some different saturation types. I'm going to be using the tube cold clipper for the 808 here. You have a dry wet knob. You have a drive overall out level. Really, really solid plugin here. I don't know if it's trying to emulate something in specific, but it sounds really good, and it does a lot of tube kind of stuff in it. Really good for bass sounds, and I actually really like it on vocals as well. It's really good all-around plugin. That's it for the free plugins. So if you want to check out any of those free plugins, I'll put them in the description. I mean, they're free, but in this video, you'll get to get a taste of what they sound like, if they're even worth downloading. I like all of them, so I would recommend it. Now, anyone who's been looking at this list of saturators, distorters, clippers, and knows anything about plugins, you know that this plugin came out, and it's called Nani. It speaks for itself. Yeah. So this one will literally blow the clothes off you because it's so strong. This one's very versatile. You actually have 5 different saturation types, as well as a Vaca mode, which I think just means crazy, which mixes the different types of saturation. You have a post filter for a low cut and a high cut. You have a mix knob, and you have an output. You have an auto gain output, actually, so when you drive it, it will take it back down for you. And you can put some color on it, and then here's your drive knob. I am not going to turn the censorship off of this plugin because I am uploading to YouTube. But this plugin is always fun. Like when you doing something, you just want to get a little kick. That sounds weird, but it like kind of like, you know, gets your mind flowing again, because you're like, what the fuck? What did I just open? But on the flip side of that plugin, which is so crazy and bizarre, we have another plugin called K-Clip. This plugin is very scientific, basically. You have your in and out gain, and you can link the knobs actually. So like when in goes up, then the out will go down at the same rate. So you can actually test how the saturation sounds. You can soften your saturation. And then you have all of these options for different saturation types. Super useful. You can change the threshold of your saturation, mid-side. You can do a multi-band saturation, which is like really cool, and change every single thing about it. Really, really dope. It's similar to another plugin I have that I'll just show off later in the video. I'm not going to test it because it's so different than all of the other plugins in this. So I'm not going to be using the multi-band, but just know that that's an option in this plugin. But this plugin is particularly really good for mastering and dynamic control because you get a ceiling knob. So you have all of your saturation type, and then you have a ceiling knob at the end to literally cap it off. And it's really powerful for that. It gives you a lot of control. It works super well. You have oversampling, you have everything that you need. Really like this plugin. It's one of my favorites. And the other plugin that I'll show you later, it's called Spectre. It is a $100 plugin. So that'll give you a reference of these things. See if spending money on plugins, saturation plugins, which give a lot of character to your music, are even worth spending on. How long can you get away with stuff before you're gonna be like, I really need something different? You know what I mean? All of these plugins, I have already set the parameters to them to get them to sound how I would want them to sound for a mix on an 808. And I tried my best to gain match them. Now, something to keep in mind is that even though I tried to gain match them, the ones that are quieter will give you a reference point because it was hard for me to drive them anymore. So that's something to keep in mind during this test. I'm going to do this blind for you. I'm going to mix them up. They will not be in the order that you see them right now. And we're going to go ahead and run through and test them all. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play 4 bars of this loop, and then I'm gonna play 8 bars of each plugin. I'm gonna give you a palette cleanser between each one with just the dry 808. Let's get into it. Okay, I just ran through all the plugins here. Tell me which ones you thought were your favorite. I'm gonna go ahead and do the reveal right here. The order went: number 1, saturation knob; number 2, more; number 3, K-clip; number 4, Destructor 1, which was Harmor Classic preset. Number 5 was the Harmor Rubber preset in Destructor. Number 6 was Blood Overdrive. Number 7 was BPB Saturator. Number 8 was Nani. Number 9 was Prefet. Number 10 was Fruity Fast Distortion. And then number 11 was Maximus. Let's talk about these. In this 808 test, I did have some favorites here. The saturation knob, I think, performed pretty well. The control was a bad thing, and it seemed like it was peaking a lot. The 808 was peaking a lot for how little volume is actually outputting. Like, the perceived loudness wasn't that much, but it does sound like nice and boomy though. It's pretty light on the saturation. I chose to keep it low for this 808. I thought more sounded quite good. Again, not very deep, but I did like the sound of it. K-clip was great in this test. Destructor, I think, sounded quite good. You could definitely get away with this plugin, I think. This rubber preset is really bright, and if I even open up this filter, you can hear that there's some real high frequency stuff going on in there. The Blood Overdrive, I think, sounded great on the 808. I'm not gonna lie. It has like that boom, boom, boom. So definitely keep it in the range that an 808 is typically thought to be at. But it didn't compress. Like, I had to raise the levels a lot to, I think, match a lot of the other plugins. The BPB Saturator, man, wow, this made a fat 808. Like, holy shit, just listen to this. Wow. And that goes to show having two saturations layered on top of each other can make a great, great fat sound. Get your perceived loudness like way up instead. Now, Nani was wow. good performer. If you want that really distorted sound for an 808 or whatever, you can get that with this plugin, like for real. I'll give you a taste of these other settings. This one's a lot, like more of like a soft saturation plugin. Really bright one. I've used this funky one a couple of times for a really interesting effect. Really good sound though out of that one. But one of my favorite ones was this prefet. Wow. It's very tight, very low. But I wasn't able to get this one any louder. This is as loud as it could go. But it sounds good. If I were to be able to increase this volume. I love how like deep and boom it sounds. Like you know that feeling. If you're wearing headphones right now, you know that feeling. And then here's the fast distortion. I think overall a really good performer. Couldn't get this one as loud though. If you're working at normal like gain staging loudnesses, I think you could get it like that. But I couldn't get it. I usually mix loud and then I just clip it and I don't really have to master. This, I can't get any louder. Like this is the max post gain's ever gonna go. So you have to boost it up after the fact in the plugin, which, you know, it matters. It matters with ease of use and your workflow to be able to keep things flowing. And when you can't do that, then you have to boost it somewhere else. And it's like, it's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying, but it does sound pretty good, especially once you soften it up. Oh, actually, in this case, it didn't. This is a hard knee, but you can soften it up a little bit too and get like a smoother sound. So like, I'll show you this. I think it's quite a pleasant sound here. And then last but not least, we have the clipper from Maximus. Which I think sounds great. This sounds like phenomenal in this case. Like, I'm very happy with that one. All of these plugins, I think, performed really well. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I think they sounded great. I mean, it depends on what you're doing exactly. If you want a crazy distorted high frequency sound, but you can always like just use a low cut and just a high cut, low pass or whatever you want to call it, and just take out some of the really high stuff. But if you want a really distorted sound for an 808, I'd say the best picks here would be Nani BPB Saturator, Blood Overdrive if you go crazy with it, Destructor if you go crazy with it, More if you go crazy with it, and then I'd probably say those are your craziest ones. Then if you're going more tame, I really liked Prefet, really great sound. Destructor had some soft saturation ones in there, really good. K-Clip gives you a lot of control. I didn't really like saturation, like compared to the other ones. Saturation knob didn't sound as good. It still held up, but it didn't sound as good. Yeah, so like for a smoother sound, I liked Maximus 2 a lot. So yeah, really overall powerful plugins here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into the vocal test here. All the same plugins, not the same settings though. So I did change them to adjust them for vocals specifically to really fine tune it for how people would probably mix vocals. So we're gonna go ahead and run through and listen to all of these. Again, I'm going to play you the original vocal sample, well, with some minor effects at the beginning here. Okay, so all the plugins are mixed in. I guess I cannot stop burping. Okay, all the plugins are mixed up and we're ready to go into this. So here is the original vocal again.
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change.
3, 2.
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not.
Okay. Which ones did you think were which? I'm very curious. I'm going to reveal what they were now. Number 1 was Nani. Number 2 was Saturation Knob. Number 3 was Fruity Fast Distortion. Number 4 was More for 4. Number 5 was Blood Overdrive. Number 6 was Maximus. Number 7 was K-Clip. Number 8 was BPB Saturator. Number 9 was Prefet. And number 10 and 11 was Destructor 2 and then Destructor 1. So which ones were your favorites? I obviously overblown a lot of them. Like you'd maybe put these on an ad-lib track and not your main track. But if you're going for a creative effect on your main track for a vocal, then they could definitely still sound good. My personal favorites were, I really like K-Clip, great one. Prefet was really good as well. I liked Nani. I thought it had a cool character to it. Maximus Clipper was a little bit meh. It was a little sharp or harsh. I liked the Destructor. That was really good. That's about it. I mean, I didn't really like Saturation Knob. Blood Overdrive, you can tell that that's meant for like bass sounds or something, because like it just did not sound right on a vocal. I'm not gonna lie, it did not sound good. And then the rest were just kind of like meh. I really liked More. This is the More.
Second thoughts.
It's like really heavy.
I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not.
it just like completely crushes it, which is cool. It's cool in a lot of cases. And you can blend that in with the dry wet. Anyways, overall, really cool plugins here. I would say, I mean, the paid plugins generally did perform really well. But you could definitely find some good use with some of the, like Maximus, great. BPB Saturator was great. Destructor was so powerful. More is a great plugin. I don't really recommend Saturation Knob. Not only that, is like, for some reason, this is graphically such a hard plugin to run or something. I don't know why it's so poorly optimized. It really bogs down your system. I think there's a lot of powerful plugins here. And I would say my favorite one overall is definitely K-Clip. I feel like nothing beats it. I mean, it's just so, you can do so much with K-Clip. You have all these different, for the vocal, I did tape instead. And generally a lot of these other plugins, I did soften up the knee of the saturator a lot more. So it gives a smoother effect and the vocal isn't as harsh. And I went with a tape saturation for the K-Clip here because tape is focused a little bit more on higher frequencies, but you know, we can hear it with the tape. So here's the tape.
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not.
Here's it with tube. Tube can sound really good on vocals too, though.
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not.
It's a little bit more somber. It's not super significant, but you know, you definitely get an effect with it. Choosing what saturator to use. But overall, my biggest picks, I really like K-Clip. I really like Nani. I really liked More, Prefet, Destructor, and Maximus Clipper I really like too. I like having some control with my plugins. I mean, it just like being able to set where you want your ceiling on your saturator is really powerful, because then you know you can control some dynamics with it, because that's half the purpose of using a saturation plugin, is so that, yeah, you get color to your sound, but you also get compression, like transient free wave compression. Like it will completely chop off transients and lock your peaks down. So it's really powerful for dynamic control. So having like ceilings and stuff, and that's basically the only plugin in FL Studio native that you can control ceiling with the saturation plugin. But yeah, here's the plugins I was talking about. Here's one other plugin, which does cost $100 and is kind of niche, but it works really well for what it does. So this plugin is called Spectre. It's very interesting. So say here, I have a vocal, right?
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not.
You're like, oh, it's a vocal.
Yeah.
What do you want to sound good in a vocal? Well, I kind of want the highs to sound good. I kind of want the high mids to sound good, and then the low mids. I mean, that's where vocals generally sit. So what this does is it actually only applies, it's basically like a saturator equalizer, where it only applies saturation to these points of the equalizer. Then you can play it in with a mix. So right here, you can change it with the mix knob, and you can change saturation types. So you can do all these different types, which are really powerful. The solid one sounds really good, so I don't change it often. But if I do change it, I might change it to a tube or a tape, or sometimes I've done bit and warm. It's just really powerful. So like on a vocal here, we can kind of blow it out of proportion.
Second thoughts.
So that's here.
Plot. I should tell the truth, but I think
That's fully mixed in.
this feeling's insane. Heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. These feelings are insane. Heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change.
So what's interesting about this plugin is you can apply an EQ without really changing phase relationships, and not really making it sound harsh or resonant at the points in the EQ. It generally will just smooth out the area that it's in and add some harmonics from the distortion. It's usually pretty subtle, but you can make it not subtle, obviously. But yeah, this is a very like specific saturator if you're interested in something like that. But that is $100, so that's more than K-Clip and Nani combined. That's as much as the Fruity Edition for FL Studio. So is it worth that much? Probably not, but it is a powerful plugin. Another alternative to do something like that would be to take an EQ, pick whatever saturation you want to do or whatever. All this is basically saying is this is an emphasis saturator. So you maybe like, I don't know, you do a crazy saturation shape like this. What you do is you put that and then say you put your saturation type between it, so fruity fast distortion or whatever. And then you might as well just duplicate your previous EQ. This is what emphasis saturation is. And you just invert the levels. So you just go like this and go like this. And then you'll get around the same sound, but you'll have saturation at the points in the frequencies that you boosted. So yeah, it's just you get to do all that with one plugin instead of 3. So it severely upgraded my workflow when it came to emphasis saturation, and really improved that part. So I found it worth it, but to each their own. I think you can definitely get by with some free plugins for saturation. You can get by with music production with, honestly, like, well, obviously you have your stock plugins, but you know, beyond that, I don't really think you need a whole lot. Instrument plugins and sounds are probably the most important things if you're going to worry about stuff like that. I mean, if you're going to pay for plugins and stuff, I would recommend instrument plugins. That's where you're going to get your best value. You can definitely get by with these plugins. I enjoy the ones I've bought. I do have a new song out, and I'm working on releasing an album right now, so it's going to be dope. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, links for the plugins are in the description. Even the paid ones. I'll link the paid ones.
Second thoughts, different plot. I should tell the truth, but I think I'd rather not. This feeling's insane, heart full of pain, hitchhiking through hell, so the shit is gonna change. Go in